Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and my loneliness is killing me. Oh, yeah. Sorry, something was going on in the studio here before we started shooting. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
No comment.
Jonathan Voico.
Oh, baby, baby.
And, of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics that we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have thought, theories, opinions, questions, or topics you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. If you send it in during the show, we'll get around to addressing it in the last part of the show, again, as long as we deem it appropriate for the show. But here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our show on podcast feed, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a topic or a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right. Hey, you know what I'm going to go see today?
What?
Death of a Unicorn.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that.
With Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about that. I love the trailers. The reviews have been lukewarm, but I don't care. I think it looks great. I'm really excited about seeing it. Check out or keep an eye open for my out of the theater reaction for that a little bit later today. All right, guys. That all down. Let's jump into it here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. I have loved Simon Pegg ever since Shaun of the Dead. Now, I know he was around before that, but that was my first introduction to him. He's been great. Always love his stuff. Well, he's got a new movie coming out called Angels in the Asylum. Except it's probably not going to come out because according to a report in Deadline, they had to stop shooting the movie halfway through because they ran out of money. And this wasn't like a 5-month shoot. This is a 1-month shoot. They got 15 days into shooting this movie. And by the way, it also has Minnie Driver in it, who I love Minnie Driver. And Catherine Waterston, who was like the main love interest in the Fantastic Beasts movies. She's really great. I like her a lot. But anyway, this is what Deadline writes. Angels in the Asylum, British indie film starring Simon Pegg and Catherine Waterston, as I mentioned, also Minnie Driver's in it, has stopped shooting indefinitely after running out of cash midway through the production. Angels in the Asylum was mounted without its financing fully in place and had to halt filming in February, 15 days into a month-long shoot. There is no clarity on when the $5 million, $6.4 million American production might restart as producers scramble to bring in new financing. Angels in the Asylum is set to tell an important story about women incarcerated against their wishes, but has created a messy legacy in which crew members are said to be owed at least probably an American $750,000, but the cast got paid. The cast pay was ring-fenced, is that the phrase?
Yeah,
in an escrow account under equity non-union agreements. So like they have a system in place over there where before shooting even begins, the money to pay the actors is always secured. But that doesn't mean it for everybody. Now it goes on to talk about the producers are kind of blaming the distributor, saying, hey, we haven't gotten our financing from these guys yet. But the distributor saying, we never had an agreement to finance the film. We only agreed to put in money to assist in selling the film. So it's a huge mess. Stopped halfway through production. All right. Listen, I've made a couple of little films, a couple of like little tiny ones, but I don't know. I kind of made sure I had the money before I started making one. Like my first movie that I did, tiny little film, The Anniversary. Tiny little budget. I think I had like a $35,000 budget to make that movie, right? Tiny. But I made sure I had that money before I started shooting. I made sure I had the money to pay somebody before I said, hey, come and do this for me and I'll pay you. And I don't know, maybe this isn't that uncommon of a practice in the motion picture industry. But as somebody who's been around the industry a lot, and I've been on a lot of sets, I've been to almost every studio head office. I have just personally, and like I said, maybe it's not all that uncommon. I'm just saying I have never come across a situation where, number one, on a movie that's going to cost millions to make, you actually started rolling the cameras before you had the money. And then halfway through go, well, we weren't able to magically produce the other half of the money we needed, so we got to pull the plug. And meanwhile, you got a bunch of crew people who aren't going to get paid.
He should make an appointment with Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, you're greenlit.
We're talking about Electric State, I think, took all the money from...
all the money.
So
that's it. No more Netflix money to go around because Electric State cost $300 million to make. This is really funny. Look, it's not on the director. It's not on the writers. It's not on the cast. This is on the producers.
this was a misunderstanding from what I'm reading, because Parkland Pictures, I think they thought Parkland Pictures.
Well,
was
that's what I
supposed
said at the beginning. They
Yeah.
thought this distribution company
Right.
was going to put up the money, and Parkland said, we never said we were going to give you any money. We said we were going to facilitate the sale of the film. We didn't say we're going to give you money.
I would be thinking there would be a hard copy of things written down.
There are.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe they read it over and said, "Oh, this we thought it meant one thing."
I can't believe people are that stupid and that incompetent. I got to believe what the situation here is that the producers thought, here's my guess, pure speculation on my part. My guess is these producers wanted to make this movie. They probably had a window that they were gonna have Catherine Waterston, Simon Pegg, Minnie Driver available. And they thought maybe they could get the money together in time for when they were going to shoot the movie. Then as they get close to when it's time to shoot the movie, they realize we don't have the money. Maybe we can still come up with it. We can't get Simon Pegg, Minnie Driver, and Catherine Waterston together again. So we got to shoot now, or we're not going to be able to shoot this for another year or two. Let's just start shooting it and we'll come up with the money before it's too late. And then they started shooting it and they didn't come up with the money before it was too late. And now they had to shut the movie down. Can you imagine if something like this happened on a Star Wars movie? Can you imagine if something like this happened on a Marvel movie?
Well, I mean, to be fair, they don't allow Star Wars movies to get that far.
That's right. They never even start shooting them. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like Kathleen Kennedy, she gets ahead of the problem. You know, we make sure we never run out of money when we're shooting a movie.
We never
start shooting a movie.
Yeah.
Done. We have a perfect record.
No movie, no problem.
That's the Star Wars philosophy. We get ahead of the problem.
Yeah.
We
Turn
kill the
movies
problem before
into
there's even a
series.
chance of it.
Yeah.
So I feel bad because I know some people just look for the names they recognize. I know there are going to be people out there that are going to blame Simon Pegg or they're going to blame this is on the producers, as far as I can tell, as far as I've been able to ascertain from this.
So the people who really got screwed over here is the people behind the
crew.
The crew.
Yeah.
Who actually probably traveled to, because they're shooting this. I think
it was a British production.
Yeah, it's British production. They probably didn't have to travel or anything like that. But here's the thing.
But at the time, they couldn't be working somewhere else.
You worked for weeks and you're not taking other jobs because you're committed to this one.
And some of them probably accounted for that money already.
Yeah, of course.
Some of them.
Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be getting this, so we can take care of this. And that's one of the worst situations you could be in.
This is how they pay their rent.
Yeah.
This is how they pay their bills. And now they're out in the cold without any money, like nearly $1 million American that's owed in salaries to the crew. I mean, and I don't blame the actors for getting paid. You have that system set up where your money and your payment is secured. So that good for you. But I mean, just terrible, terrible stuff.
Is movie making and all the cinema rules or whatever we could call it, is it different in UK?
They have different unions,
taxes and things like
that.
They
have different unions, different rules, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just a horrible situation to hear about. So guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Simon Pegg's new movie shut down halfway through production. They didn't have the money to finish the film. The crew was getting stiff being paid. I don't know. Whatever you guys think of this, and do any of you remember any other situations like this that you can recall? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Mid-April comes one of my most anticipated movies of the year, the new Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan film, Sinners. Right from the beginning, when we found out that Ryan Coogler was going to be doing, who is actually one of the great filmmakers today, that he was going to be doing a period piece vampire movie, I was all on board. When the first trailer for it came out, it just solidified that. It's like, I cannot wait to see. It's made it one of my most anticipated of the year. And the fact that Haley Steinfeld is in it, it made Anne really excited. My wife loves her. And now today, we not only got a new trailer, we also got a couple of new posters came out for it. So take a look at the posters here. I think these look great. You can totally tell the color palette they're going for.
Sure.
In it. I think these look great. Michael B. Jordan playing twin brothers. This looks great. But more importantly, even more so than the posters, was the trailer. The trailers for this thing have been great. And they've all followed the same pattern. All the trailers start off with it looking like this kind of thriller, period piece, down south, this guy returning home with a troubled thing, and this club that's making money in a barn, all kinds of stuff. And then vampires show up and all of a sudden gets real freaky. And what did you call it? He
called it Dusk Till Dawn. He reminded him of Dusk Till Dawn.
No, you called it this is the Going Down on Ladies show movie.
Oh.
I can't remember your exact terminology. Just the trailer.
No, I just said they went to a party of the vagina licking party.
Everybody tries to get on the guest list for that party.
Yeah, the vaginal tasting event.
Anyway. But that's the thing. They make the movie feel sultry, and they make the movie feel sexy, and they make the movie feel like it's gonna be thrilling, and then vampires on top of all that gets thrown in there. So I mean, it's looking great. So the new trailer plays.
Right.
And I got to tell you guys, it followed the same kind of pattern as the other trailers that they've shown so far, but it shows a lot of new footage. We get a little bit more of the dialogue. We got a little bit more of the understanding of the setup of the story. Apparently, one of the twin brothers lost a child, lost a baby.
Right.
He's come back home. People saying, "Why you even come back?" All that kind of stuff. There's stuff going on. They just sets the stage better. And again, reinforcing that a lot of vampire movies have, that sultriness, that sexiness that a lot of vampire movies will do. There's a great tradition of that in Hollywood. And then it looks like things get scary. And when you're talking about a director like Ryan Coogler with, obviously with the Black Panther stuff, the first Creed movie, Fruitvale Station is the one that really put him on the map for a lot of people. You know, a little bit of trivia for those of you who don't know this. What's the composer's name again who did Mandalorian? And he also did the soundtrack for, not the soundtrack, but the score for Black Panther. Gorvinson or?
Oh, yeah, Ludwig.
Ludwig, that's it. So Ludwig Göransson, who, of course, did the amazing theme for Mandalorian, won an Academy. He's won a couple of Academy Awards now, one of them for Black Panther. Ryan Coogler and him were roommates in college.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how they both have done pretty well. So good for them. I loved this trailer, and I cannot wait. What is it, the 18th? Is that when it comes out? April 18th?
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Yeah, April 18th is when it comes out. I cannot wait for this. You had the chance to see the trailer. What did you think about it, Ray?
You know, I think with horrors, like, I think the more enclosed the environment is, where since this feels like a small little town, when you start closing in, like, you know, in the Scream movies, they run through the city, a populated city. But when you, like, make a horror in like a smaller,
more of an isolated environment.
area, the more terrifying it is. Like
Right.
It's just
Because there's no help to run
yeah,
to.
it feels, you feel the tension when you only got so many places you could hide or run to, and you don't know if where you're going there's gonna be more of the
It
things
could
that
be
you're
even worse.
running
That's
from.
why Abigail worked so well for
Right,
me.
right.
Remember Abigail?
Yeah.
Like
So-
it's just they get caught in a house, it gets sealed off, and now you're in this one environment
Right.
kind of thing. And you're right. I think that heightens kind of the fear of it.
So they do this justice by making it feel like already, because we haven't seen the movie, it's a small town with only where everybody probably knows each other. Like, you know, it's less 30, 40 people. It worked for remember that vampire movie with
30
Josh
Days
Hartnett?
of Night,
That's why that worked. It was just a small little area.
isolated town.
Yeah. And this looks good.
It looks great.
This looks great.
I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see it. Guys, question is for you. What did you think of, first of all, the new posters? I think the posters look great, but more importantly, what did you think of the new trailer for Sinners? I think it looks fantastic. However you guys are feeling about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, of course, yesterday was Chair Watch. 5.5 hours.
For some, not me.
5.5 hours of the most idiotic presentation any studio has ever done.
But my IKEA stock went up.
But because of your chairs. So I actually jumped on and I put up a poll on the channel. I said, and I asked a simple question. If you had a choice to tune in and watch just one of these two streams announcing the cast of the upcoming Avengers movie or Avengers Doomsday cast, which one would you watch? One, the back of chairs with one new name being revealed every 12 minutes, or two, a 1-hour presentation of Kevin Feige on a stage announcing each name with an image of them and their character on a screen as he reveals them. Had nearly 10,000 people vote on that. 86% said the Feige one. The Feige one. Actually, I started watching a bunch of other people, including like the folks over at Screen Crush, and they're all like, what the hell is this? It was so stupid. Such a stupid way to do the presentation. Now, I would have been okay with it if it was one new chair every minute.
Right.
Right? If it was like the camera pans, new name, yeah. And then by the time we're finishing going, yeah, then the camera moves again to the next. If they had done it like one every minute,
Yeah.
totally fine.
Oh, well, then they released that YouTube clip where it was just like a nice quick pan as it just went back.
Yeah,
back,
just
back,
across
back,
all
back,
of them,
back.
right?
Yeah, I'm
like that's how you
okay,
should have done it.
great.
5 hours of this anyway. That's not the story here. That's not the story. There were 20
condensed
plus
version.
names listed, of course, right?
Yeah.
And just to refresh everybody's memory, here are the names.
In real time. Oh.
In real time, we're going to do one every 3 minutes, guys. No, Chris Hemsworth, Vanessa Kirby, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Letitia Wright, Paul Rudd, Wyatt Russell, Namor, Tano Coretta Miha, Eben Moss Backrack, Simu Liu, Florence Pugh, Kelsey Grammer, Louis Pullman, Danny Ramirez, Joseph Quinn, David Harbour, Winston Duke, Hannah John Kamen, John Hiddleston, Tom Hiddleston, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, Rebecca Romaine, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, which I probably was the biggest surprise, Pedro Pascal, and of course, Robert Downey Jr. So, a lot of names. But, and like I said, Channing Tatum was a surprising name.
Mm-hmm.
But what was more surprising were the names that were not on there. Now, before we do our countdown of the 30 most surprising names that were not listed on this cast, let me address something. It is absolutely possible that they come out and do another Chair Watch and reveal more cast later. They could. They could.
I think they
It
will.
did feel kind of final with Robert Downey Jr. being the last one going
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
I remember
But
thinking, yeah, we saw Pedro Pascal. I'm like, okay, there's going to be like 10 more at least.
there's going to be like at
And it
least
was
10
just-
more.
Then it ended.
But lest you just assume, and lest I just assume, and we are saying it's possible, that, oh, they're just going to release it. Remember this. Benedict Cumberbatch. Remember this? About a month or so ago, Because everybody would have thought Doctor Strange was going to be in this movie, right? Everybody
Right.
would have thought Doctor Strange was going to be in this movie. But maybe a month or two ago, Benedict Cumberbatch did an interview where he came out and said, I'm not going to be in Doomsday. He said, I'm going to be in Secret Wars, but I'm not going to be in Doomsday. Well, if that's the case with Doctor Strange, it's possible there are going to be a lot of characters that won't be in Doomsday, but will be in Secret Wars. Because if we already know they're doing that with one big major character, Doctor Strange, it's certainly feasible that they're going to do that with a lot of other characters too. Again, not saying that's what they are doing, but I'm saying let's not rush, even though I'm seeing a lot of the outlets speculating that there'll probably be another cast now. Maybe there will be. Maybe there will be. I'm just saying I don't think we can automatically just say with certainty that there will be, because again, there's a lot of names that we were super surprised at that we're not getting, but at least one of them already came out in advance and said they're not going to be in Doomsday. So with that understanding in place, here are the 30 to me in order of least surprising to most surprising. Okay. So the first 5-10 names we're going to list, I'm not really surprised at. So we're going to start with number 30. This is the one I'm least surprised isn't in there, but she did have her own Disney Plus show on MCU Disney Plus show. Echo. Not surprised. I mean, you would think with the big Avengers film and all that kind of stuff that anybody who led their own series might be in there, but Echo went over like a lead balloon. I was so interested in this character before I saw Hawkeye. Because once I found out they were going to have Echo, I thought that's great. And then I saw Hawkeye and they didn't do the character any justice and the series wasn't very good. So I'm not surprised that they did not mention Echo. All right. Number 29, Doctor Strange. Again, the reason Doctor Strange is so low on the surprise list is because Benedict came out and told us months ago he was not going to be in this movie, but fear not, he will be in Secret Wars. Okay, so really not that surprising. So number 30, Echo. Number 29, Doctor Strange. At number 28, Black Widow. Again, we had Scarlett Johansson just a little while. We did a story on the show where Scarlett Johansson was doing an interview saying, look, she's dead. Natasha's dead. Let her have her hero's death. Not coming back to play Natasha. So she kind of came out and stated that definitively. So that's why she's all the way down at 28 on the surprise factor of not being announced. All right. At number 27, any of the Eternals. Now, some of you might have thought they should be even lower on the list than 27, but we just had a Captain America movie where they actually started bringing elements of the Eternals back in. With Tiamat coming out of the ocean, they're finally making reference back to events of the Eternals. So again, I have them all the way down at 27, but that's why I don't have them even lower, is because they were starting to talk about them again and reintroducing themes. So who knows? All right. At number 26, Kang. Now, again, remember, I do have this way low, but with... Look, I know they've moved on from Kang, but that didn't mean there wasn't a chance they could still have Kang have some kind of small role in it.
Even if he was recast.
Even if he was recast. But even with Jonathan Majors, right? There was the chance that a small part of Kang, a small part for Kang may have been there. Again, not tremendously surprised. I got him all the way down to 26, but that's why he was there in the first place. All right. At number 25, we're starting to get a little bit more surprised now, but not terribly surprised. Moon Knight. Yeah, I have not expected to see Oscar Isaac pop up in this. I was overall kind of disappointed with the Moon Knight series, although I think it had some really good episodes, and I thought it started well, and I love Oscar Isaac in the role. And man, that is one of the best character designs in the MCU. Look at that. That's gorgeous. I love that. But The show didn't do all that great. There's really been no talk of Moon Knight since. So I thought there was a chance. I wasn't going to be shocked if we saw his name come up, but number 25 on the list of most surprising that he wasn't there. All right. At number 24 is a character that I'm sure many of you would have put much, much, much higher on this list. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. There are still, even with the casting announcements done, there are still people out there who 100% believe, without any shadow of a doubt, that Hugh Jackman. You guys know that I have always doubted that Hugh Jackman was going to come back for these Avengers films. Right from day one, I've said I do not believe he's going to be there. That doesn't mean that there's no chance that he could. Of course there's a chance. This is just me as a fan speculating. But I've got him all the way down at number 24 because I really don't find it that surprising. Now, yesterday, as they were listing off the names of people who are going to be in it, and they started mentioning some of the X-Men, if you guys watched the show yesterday, even I was like, maybe I have to, like, as they're mentioning Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James Marsden. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've never thought they were going to put Hugh Jackman in this, but maybe his name is going to come up, but they didn't. And so I'm not terribly surprised. I've got Wolverine, Hugh Jackman at number 24. At number 23, another name that I think a lot of people would have put much higher on this list, but again, I have always doubted they'll be here. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. I mean, I've been saying for a long time, I don't know that Deadpool's going to be in the Avengers films. Again, like Hugh Jackman, it's totally possible they will be, but I'm not tremendously surprised that Ryan's name in Deadpool wasn't brought up during that presentation. So I don't have him very high on the list. I got him all the way down at number 23. At number 22, Scarlet Witch. Now, the reason, again, this is another character that a lot of people would have thought automatic. Put it way high on the list of surprise. But we just talked the other day about an interview with Elizabeth Olsen, where she said, she confirmed in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, confirmed, I am not coming back for either Avengers film. So she could have been lying, could have been, but she straight up came out and said, I am not going to be in either, Doomsday or Secret Wars. So I can't say I'm tremendously surprised that she wasn't there and listed. So that's at number 22, Scarlet Witch. At number 21, and some of you might be surprised that I have this character as high on my list as I do, because I think a lot of people thought there was no chance. But at number 21, I'm going to have Agatha. And the reason I've got Agatha on there is because they just gave her own series, but her own series did very well. I mean, it got bigger viewership numbers than Daredevil's getting. And so because of that, and it's Catherine Hahn and everybody loves her. Again, I don't have her near the top of the list, but I kind of thought I wasn't going to be surprised if we saw her. So I've got Agatha not being there all the way up at number 21. All right. Now we get into the top 20. Now I'm starting to get a little surprised, like a little bit more surprised that they're not there. At number 20, the current iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy. This new team of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Now, I remember James Gunn saying before Guardians 3 came out that this is going to be the last ride for this iteration of the Guardians. I had my doubts we're ever going to see a Guardians 4 with this lineup, but maybe popping up in this thing I thought was definitely a possibility. And so the fact that none of the current iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy, I find that a little bit surprising. Not totally shocked, but a little surprising. So I have that all the way up at number 20. At number 19, Wasp. Now, I wouldn't have totally thought she would have been there, but once they announced Paul Rudd and Ant-Man was going to be there, well, then I was kind of expecting to see her. And the fact that she wasn't there kind of became a little bit of a surprise. So at number 19, I've got, in our ranking of surprise that they weren't listed in the cast, I've got Wasp. All right. Let's get to number 18. At number 18, I thought there was a possibility, but if you guys watch, I've never really thought they would be. No mention of John Bernthal or the Punisher. I just don't see how Punisher fits into this, really, with the way the cinematic universe is set up. So, but again, with the popularity of the character, you couldn't discount the possibility. So, not tremendously shocked, but a little bit surprised that they didn't end up having Punisher. At number 17, directly connected to that, Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Again, if you guys have been watching the show, I've been saying for a while, I actually have my doubts that they're going to have Daredevil. I think they're just going to angle Daredevil to just be in the TV show. I think they're just going to keep him there, with the exception of some cameos here and there. But again, Daredevil's so good. It's definitely got a very loyal fan base. I definitely knew there was a chance it could be there. So I've got it at number 17. At number 16, in my most surprised that they weren't on the Doomsday list, Blade. I listen, obviously we can't be completely shocked that Blade isn't there. They don't even have his movie going yet. But I did think there was a good possibility that, likened unto, say, Black Panther being introduced in Captain America Civil War, I thought there could be a possibility that Blade, they just decide to introduce him in Avengers Doomsday. That has not happened. Little surprised by that. So that's at number 16. All right. Now we go into the top half of the list. This is where I'm getting increasingly more and more surprised that these names were not on there. At number 15, it's a multiversal story. They used him a lot in What If. Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger. Very popular character. Yeah. Michael B. Jordan is an incredibly hot actor. Everybody loves this character. Again, I referenced the fact that they've kept going back to him in What If. I was straight up kind of expecting that he would be in this a little bit. So Killmonger is my number 15. Number 14, Kate Bishop. They clearly have plans for Kate Bishop, right? Not only because she's in the Hawkeye series and it sounds like there's going to be season 2, but also at the end of an MCU movie, The Marvels, they have her pop up in the end credit or at the end of the film. Clearly implying that they've got future plans, and Haley Steinfeld is a super great star. So I was kind of expecting to see her in there. Now, again, maybe she could show up in Secret Wars like everybody else on this list, but I was kind of surprised that we didn't see Haley Steinfeld's share there. All right. At number 13, if I had made this list before Secret Invasion came out, I would have had this name higher. Mm-hmm. But Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury. Right? I mean, Nick has been a mainstay of the Marvel Cinematic Universe ever since that first Iron Man movie. But they've been using him a little bit less. The fact that Secret Invasion was such a train wreck, I still am quite surprised. That's why I've got him all the way up at 13. Still quite surprised, but not totally shocked that he's not there. So, but I've got him as high as number 13. All right. At number 12, and like I said, now we're getting more and more surprised that they weren't on the list. Monica Rambeau. Photon, whatever you want to call her.
Seemed like she was a natural link to the X-Men.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, once we saw that Kelsey Grammer's name was on there, which was in and of itself a really pleasant surprise. Well, when did we meet him? Through her. She's there. Like, apparently, and we don't know this for sure, but we're surmising that our first incursion is going to be that world that Monica Rambeau ended up on. And because she's there with Kelsey Grammer's Beast and all that kind of stuff. So because of that, I thought it would make sense, especially once they started listing off the X-Men characters. So, well, she's there already. She'll probably be on the list. And she wasn't. And so I'm actually quite surprised that Monica Rambeau's name was not there. Oh, guys, please, in the live chat going, God, John, it's not the full cast. You clearly have been watching from the beginning. Just hold on. I'll repeat what I said at the beginning when we get to the end there. All right. At number 11, if I hadn't seen the cast list, I wouldn't be this surprised. But because Thor, Chris Hemsworth, was listed right off the bat, I really expected Valkyrie. I really did. I got to adjust my camera a little bit here. I was fully expecting Valkyrie. Once they said Thor was going to be in there, I really thought we were going to get Valkyrie. And so color me pretty damn surprised that Valkyrie wasn't there. All right. At number 10, my goodness, if you're going to have Patrick Stewart and you're going to have Ian McKellen and you're going to have Kelsey Grammer and you're going to have Rebecca Romijn, but most importantly, if you're going to have Cyclops and James Marsden, surely you're going to have Famke Janssen playing Jean Grey. No mention of Jean Grey. And listen, like when they did X-Men Days of Future Past and they did the surprise cameos at the end, they made sure they had James Marsden and Famke Janssen.
Because didn't that kind of fix the events of the third one where she's Dark Phoenix and all that? I mean, like...
Right, well, because, the timeline gets fixed and all
Right.
this kind of stuff. So I was, by the time it ended, I was completely shocked. Not as shocked as the absence of a couple of other X-Men characters, but still very, very shocked at Jean Grey at number 10. At number 9, Paul Bettany's Vision. We got, first of all, he's a very popular character. He is out there. They've got a Vision Quest TV series coming. It would seem he'd be a pretty good guy to have in this. And again, like everybody else, they could absolutely show up in Secret Wars. Remember, this was not the cast list announcement for Doomsday and Secret
Right.
Wars. This is just Doomsday.
So I think a few of these we will end up seeing in Secret Wars. So
I have no doubt that there are some people on this list of my surprise list that we are absolutely going to see in Secret Wars. And maybe Vision's one of them. I'm still kind of surprised that he isn't going to be in this one. All right. At number 8, remember how I said with Jean Grey, there were still a couple of other X-Men characters I'm even more surprised? Rogue. Anna Paquin is Rogue. As soon as I saw Patrick Stewart, well, certainly after I saw Kelsey Grammer, I really thought Rogue would be there. They even had the little Rogue cut of X-Men Days of Future Past. She unfortunately got kind of edited out of that film. If you haven't seen it, go look it up on YouTube. Her scenes in X-Men Days of Future Past are really good. Anyway, I was really expecting to see her name pop up. Once we started to see the other X-Men, fully expect to see there. I am actually very, very surprised. Very surprised that we're not going to get a Rogue in there. All right. At number 7 of my most surprised that they weren't announced, Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. He's still there. He's going to be doing a second season most likely. But most importantly, he is one of the few OG Avengers still around.
yeah.
Now, let's go back to the last set of Avengers movies. He wasn't in the first one, in the back-to-back. He wasn't in Infinity War, and then they brought him in Endgame, gave him an amazing story in Endgame. So maybe they're going to do the same thing here. He's not in this one. He'll be in the next one, maybe. But I mean, especially as one of the few remaining OG Avengers, I really thought we were going to see Hawkeye in this list. Very surprised that he wasn't. At number 6, the Hulks. Be them Hulk or She-Hulk. Really listen, I'm not going to lie to you. As much as I did not like the She-Hulk show, I don't think many people like the She-Hulk show. And as much as I didn't like it, I still think the character is great. And I think Tatiana Maslany playing the character is great. And as much as I do not like Hawaiian shirt wearing, family barbecue attending, bowl cut sun having Hulk, they totally nerfed the Hulk. But I still fully expected us to see Hulks in this.
Or at least Eric Bana.
I mean, or at least Ed Norton Jr.
Yeah.
I fully expected to see Hulk representation. Green is mean, my friends. I was really 100% expecting to see it. So I'm going to have all the way up at number 6 of my shock that they weren't listed off is any of the Hulk family. At number 5. Now we're into the top 5 of the most shocked I was. Now remember, this list is not about who should be there. I'm just saying who I was shocked wasn't there.
Wasn't on the chair.
Right.
Who's on the chair instead of who's on the lunchbox?
Who's on the chair? I can get you back on a chair.
I can get you on the chair.
At number 5, we're in the top 5 now. Stunned. I would have put money on this. No Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, a.k.a. Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, man.
Remember, at the end of that Guardians movie, Marvel sent the direct message. Peter Quill, Star-Lord, will return. We haven't seen him yet. And so, I mean, he's on Earth. He's hanging out at his grandpa's place, his maternal grandpa's place. He's there. And I was fully expecting. Like, even when they showed Robert Downey Jr.'s chair, 5.5 hours into it, I thought, wow, that's weird that Robert Downey Jr. isn't the final chair, because I'm sure we're going to see Chris Pratt's. It never happened. So at number 5, Star-Lord. At number 4, remember when I said Jean Grey? I said there was a couple of X-Men I was surprised to be there. Rogue was one of them. Once I saw James Marsden and Kelsey Grammer recommend, I would have bet a finger that Halle Berry's Storm would have been in there. Oh, I would have put money on it.
Yeah.
I would have lost a lot of money on that. I 100% thought Storm was going to be there.
I mean, we got Alan Cumming.
I mean, you got Alan Cumming. I love Nightcrawler. But really? You're bringing back Alan Cumming? Okay, I'm totally up for it. And not Storm? That, to me, again, you don't have to have any of them there. You don't have to have Storm. You don't have to. But once I saw the other X-Men characters, you were here. I'm like, oh, we're definitely going to get Storm. Mm-hmm. Halle Berry's definitely going to come up. And so I was really, really.
I actually was thinking Halle Berry over James Marsden was more likely. So that's.
I would have as well. If you had told me 48 hours ago, on the Doomsday cast list, one of these two names will be on there.
Yeah.
Halle Berry or James Marsden. I would say, oh, Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, yeah.
I'm not saying that's what I would have preferred. I'm just saying, yeah, definitely Halle Berry. I mean, you got to have Storm, especially with what they're doing with Storm in the comics today.
Yeah.
Like, she is straight up God level right now. In the comics, she's taking out gods. They have her beyond Omega level. Like, she's crazy powerful and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of thought she would be there. All right. Now we get into our top 3. Now remember, I'm not saying this list is a list of who should have been there. This is a list of my surprise level that they weren't. At number 3, Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. And one of the main reasons is because Marvel is very big on this character right now. Between her inclusion in the video games, transferring her from the small screen to the big screen with the Marvels, and then even giving her direct references in Daredevil and the post-credit scene, hooking her up with Kate Bishop. They just, and the stuff in What If, they're clearly very big on this character and have plans for this character moving forward. And I personally love the character. But with all of that, I thought it was a 100% foregone conclusion that she was going to be in there. And she was not. So, yeah, extremely shocked that we do not have Kamala Khan. At number 2, how do you not have Captain Marvel? Like, you're talking about the character that basically turned the tide in the big battle at the end of Endgame. Clearly a big favorite of Kevin Feige's and all that kind of stuff. And one of the most powerful pieces of any puzzle that you would have on the board.
She was also the last to see Rambo in their universe.
Yeah. Also, but again, Rambo also not on the list.
Exactly.
Right. So just with all of that, again, not saying they should or shouldn't be there. I'm just saying shocked that they're not. When you look at the way they've been handled by Marvel, I'm really quite shocked that she wasn't on the list. So that's at number 2. At number one is, I think, everybody's number one. Tom Holland, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. If for no other reason, then I think it's safe to say that Spider-Man is probably Marvel's most popular character. Maybe there'll be some argument there, but wouldn't most of you agree that, generally speaking, he's, if not the absolute most popular Marvel character, he's definitely in the conversation? Like, I think everybody would agree with that, right?
He's the gateway for a lot of kids.
Absolutely.
I mean, what kid doesn't look at that and think that character is cool? I mean, swinging around town, saving people.
Like Victor in the live chat saying, John, what about Toby and Andrew? I never thought there was one iota chance that they would.
If
pop
anything,
up in this.
I've always maintained that it's Secret Wars if you're going to see them again.
I've never believed for 1 second. I don't even think it rates being on the list. Now, again, as we look over this list, I want to remind everybody what I said at the very beginning, which is, of course, it is possible that we are going to get more names and more cast announcements. I'm just saying that lest we just automatically assume that, a lot of these characters could be exactly like Doctor Strange. You know, Benedict came out and said a while ago, Doctor Strange, I am not going to be in Avengers Doomsday, but I will be in Secret Wars. Hawkeye, an OG Avenger, was not in Infinity War, but he was in Endgame. A lot of these characters on this list, it's very possible, are not in Doomsday, but will in fact, because anybody who knows the story, Secret Wars is when it gets really batty. That's when it gets way out of control, is Secret Wars, right? So it's not a stretch to say, well, if Doctor Strange has already said, yeah, I'm not in Doomsday, but I am going to be in Secret Wars, then I think the logical assumption from there is there's probably a number of characters on this list, like Spider-Man, like Vision, like Star-Lord, and others who, okay, Doomsday, we got this story and we need this many characters. And then in Secret Wars, we're going to bring in Doctor Strange. So again, is it possible they do another cast announcement list? Absolutely. Is it possible that some of the names I have on this list, being surprised that wasn't a part of the announcement, could still end up being in Doomsday? Absolutely. But is it also possible that they won't be, and some of them or a lot of them might get saved until Secret Wars? That as well. Ooh, I was about to ask you guys in live chat, what other names are you kind of surprised at? You know, Mario just brought up a good one. War Machine, Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
You know, I totally whiffed on Don Cheadle. I should have had him on the list too.
I'm a little surprised at the lack of 616 representation. I know we'll be getting a lot of the Thunderbolts there, but there's not a lot of 616 representation.
It feels like they're not going cosmic with this cast. It feels like a lot of them are grounded, other than Thor. I think Thor coming from a different. I think a lot of it is like, maybe this is Doom's gonna be on top at the end of this movie, obviously, right?
All right. Well, yeah. So a couple of other names that people are throwing out there. One is Wong. That's another one I probably should have had on the list. That's another one. I didn't want to do 40. So I initially I set out to do my top 20, and I'm like, I can't just stop at 20, and I went all the way to 30. So Wong is one that definitely could have been on the list.
And you can include
somebody saying Nick Fury, but we did mention Nick Fury is on our list. Adam Warlock is included with the current Guardians of the Galaxy lineup. Owen Wilson, I'm not really surprised. I mean, Owen Wilson is a secondary character in Loki.
As Mobius.
We've got Loki in there, so I'm not really, I do love him, but I'm not really surprised or surprised at Sylvie not being there, anything like that. The one that a lot of people brought up, though, is Chris Evans. There's already been a report out that Chris Evans is coming back, but I think most of us assumed that would be for Secret Wars, right? So the reason I didn't have Chris on this list is because I've never really thought it was even a chance or even a possibility that it would be in Doomsday. I've always kind of just thought it would be Secret Wars once they get there. So now, if we get to Secret Wars and they do a big cast announcement and Chris isn't mentioned, oh, he'll be on my list. But for now, I'm not really that surprised because I think a lot of us were kind of assuming that if those reports were true, and I think they are,
I'm surprised
that he's coming back, that it will be for Secret Wars.
I'm surprised none of the more of the Dora Milaje, what was
There's only really one Dora Milaje character that counts.
Because
right?
I just having Winston Duke there and Letitia, I can't see just what are they do like.
But really, there's only one Dora Milaje
character. Right.
So, but I mean, you've already got Wakandan. You already got the Black Panther side of the world already kind of covered, right? You've got the two most major characters. You got M'Baku and you got Shuri. So that's kind of that covered. I don't know that you have to bring in everybody who lives in Wakanda. So I'm not terribly surprised about the Okoye thing. Somebody say, a lot of people saying Madam Web. Yeah. Shocked Madam Web isn't in there.
Yeah.
Some people still saying Quicksilver. I never thought Quicksilver. I mean, by the way, listen, Secret Wars. I wouldn't be stunned to find out that we get Rikki Tikki Tacky back.
That's going to have like 80 people
in Secret Wars. I wouldn't be totally surprised by that. Somebody saying Loki. Loki is already listed in the cast. So Loki was announced. So we can't. Joe also said Thanos. Thanos would be a Secret Wars character.
What about the Loki, Sylvie?
I already mentioned that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
Sylvie, not surprised that you didn't need the secondary characters from the TV show there. Somebody mentioned America Chavez. Yeah, that's one that could have been on. I'm not, again, but if we didn't not really surprised at all that she's not, but that could have been there.
She could go under the dark arts.
If we didn't get Wong, we didn't get
Doctor
Strange, then you're not going to get her.
Some people saying Venom, but we talked about that yesterday, right? I said I don't expect Venom at all because Tom Hardy was pretty explicit in saying about Venom 3 that was the last ride for him playing the character. So I've nenever really thought him coming in was again, you never know. This is Marvel. You never know. I never thought we would see Black Bolt. And then there he was in Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. So you never know. Thunderbolt Ross, not surprised at all. Some people saying Namor. Namor is listed. Namor is on the cast. He was announced yesterday as a part of the cast. So Namor is there. Thing, they did announce Thing. Eben Moss Backrack is Thing. So
all four of them.
Yeah. So he's already, you can't be surprised he's not in there when he is in there. So yeah, then there's the new characters that we haven't met yet, right? Well, we have met Ironheart, but her show hasn't come out yet. I'm not really surprised she's not there. Yeah. Wonder Man, but we haven't even met the character yet. And I don't think you introduce Wonder Man in an Avengers.
But what about Trevor Slattery?
Ooh, the wannabe Mandarin. Oh, I would love for him to be in there. You know what I would love? You know what I'd totally watch? If Disney Plus did an MCU show, a road trip series of Trevor and Luis.
Oh my gosh.
Just Trevor and Luis in a car. Every episode they're driving through a different city and just talking to each other. I would watch the shit out of that show. I would so 100% be on that show. That would be amazing. Some people mentioning Taskmaster. I mean, Taskmaster is the only of the Thunderbolts characters not mentioned. Not surprised. I'll be honest with you. I'm still surprised that Taskmaster is even included in the Thunderbolts.
I'm not so surprised about that, but I mean, we haven't seen her in a lot of the trailers, which we've surmised maybe she doesn't survive.
Right, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Yeah. Because these are multiversal films, so another version of them could come back.
Character of her, though.
Yeah, somebody saying X-23. Again, I never believed we were going to really see X-23. Kitty Pryde?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I get, but now you're going down further on the list of X-Men. Like, you got your main ones, right?
You got the representation there.
You got Charles with Patrick Stewart. You've got Ian McKellen. You've got James Marsden. You've got Beast. You've got, like, you're already going down the list pretty far. So, again, they could have had Kitty Pryde, but not really surprised.
Yeah.
Colossus, but again,
This could be like the X-Men's actual introduction into the MCU then.
Oh, it is.
The way this
well,
going.
clearly,
Yeah,
is.
yeah, clearly.
Yeah, clearly, unless they surprise us by introducing him in a movie before that. But like, I don't know, maybe some of these X-Men characters pop up in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking they will, but it's possible.
Hit Girl.
Hit Girl. I'd watch that too. Hit Girl. So anyway, guys, I'm just a quick recap of my top 30 most surprised in order of least surprised to most surprised. At number 30, Echo. Number 29, Doctor Strange. Number 28, Black Widow. Number 27, The Eternals. Number 26, Kang. Number 25, Moon Knight. Number 24, Wolverine. Number 23, Deadpool. Number 22, Scarlet Witch. Number 21, Agatha. Number 20, The Guardians of the Galaxy current iteration. Number 19, Wasp. Number 18, The Punisher. Number 17, Daredevil. Number 16, Blade. Number 15, Killmonger. Number 14, Kate Bishop. Number 13, Nick Fury. At number 12, Monica Rambeau. And at number 11, Valkyrie. Getting into the top 10, at number 10, Jean Grey. Number 9, Vision. Number 8, Rogue. Number 7, the OG Avenger Hawkeye. At number 6, the Hulks, either he or she. At number 5, Peter Quill, Star-Lord. At number 4, Storm. At number 3, Ms. Marvel. At number 2, Captain Marvel. And at number 1, Spider-Man. And again, just to reiterate, totally possible that some of these could still end up being in Doomsday, but because Benedict Cumberbatch already said in advance that Doctor Strange is not going to be in Doomsday, but will be in Secret Wars, it's also possible that instead of being in Doomsday, a lot of these characters may not show up until Secret Wars. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. Guys, question is for you. Who are you surprised at? Yukio! Yes, Justin. Where was Yukio? She's adorable. I love her. What do you guys think about this? Are there other names that you are shocked, I say, shocked, that was not a part of that list? Which of these characters do you think, won't be in Doomsday, but we will see them, you're pretty sure, in Secret Wars? I'm sure a lot of them that there will be, like Doctor Strange. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, we are now going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your thoughts, theories, and comments. You got something to say about the list that we just did? Jump on over into our tip link. Let us know. But before we get to those questions from you guys, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Kikoff and PrizePicks. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Kikoff. Man, time flies, doesn't it? 1 minute, you're reminiscing about your last vacation, and the next, you're thinking about major life goals, like buying a car, getting that dream home. But if your credit isn't where it needs to be, those goals can feel out of reach. And that's where Kikoff comes in, the #1 credit building app in the App Store that makes it easy, affordable, and stress-free to build credit fast. And that's exactly why I love Kikoff. They give you a credit line for just building credit, not for spending. Your on-time payments get reported to the 3 major credit bureaus, helping you improve your credit mix and payment history, 2 of the biggest factors in credit growth. If your credit is under 600, you could see a jump of about 28 points in your first month. No credit check, no hidden fees, no interest, just smart credit building. Building credit can happen faster than you expect with Kikoff. Don't wait. Get your first month for just $1 at getkikoff.com/Campea. That's Kikoff without the C. Get 80% off at getkikoff.com/Campea. Must sign up via getkikoff.com/Campea to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only, subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Point stat based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0 changes for Kikoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January of 2021 and March of 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kikoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, PrizePicks. Baseball season is officially here, and if you're not running your game on PrizePicks yet, you are seriously missing out. This is daily fantasy made easy, and it's how I keep every pitch exciting. You see, PrizePicks lets you pick more or less on player projections like strikeouts, RBIs, or hits, and that's it. I just cooked up my lineup for this week. I'm taking Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 home run and Julio Rodriguez for more than 1 stolen base. Whether it's baseball, basketball, or even esports, you can mix and match players from different sports sports for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. And the app is super intuitive. It takes under 60 seconds to lock in your picks. And here's a little bonus. Every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday, where you get select player projections at a discount. More value, more fun. So download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. And thank you to our friends at Kikoff and PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the main important stuff here, shall we? Your topics and questions, observations, and theories. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Dildar says, if Disney makes another live-action remake, will they go for Pocahontas? And if they do, I think Amber Midthunder would be perfect for it.
Nah,
she'd have to sing.
Yeah, so, and we don't know that Amber Midthunder can sing. That's a pretty big thing. By the way, I loved her in Novocaine. I really liked her in Novocaine. And obviously, she was great in Prey. Obviously, the next live action one they have coming up is Lilo and Stitch, which I'm all on board that one. I cannot wait to watch that. I don't think we're going to see a Pocahontas one. I really don't.
And then after
it's
that,
good as possible, but I really don't think so.
After that, it's Moana, right? With The Rock.
Oh yeah, then we got the Moana
yeah.
live action one. Yeah, so we got Lilo and Stitch, and then we got the Moana live action one. So if they do more after that, well, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think it'll be Pocahontas.
Amber mid-singer.
Mid-singer.
All
right,
Ian
what's next?
McAllister says, Ian McAllister says, all I think when I watch the studio is that down the road, there's a John Campea show doing a show segment about Continental Studios buys Martin Scorsese's movie just to kill it, but greenlights Kool-Aid movie.
It's by the way, they got some actual real like Hollywood reporters in that show. You know, they're obviously quite often referencing Deadline. Matt Bellani is in there and all that kind of stuff.
It has a bit of an entourage feel, only for the
does.
aspect of the reality of when they're going through Hollywood.
But here's the thing. Everything in this show is based on real things that have happened.
Sure.
Not that it's based on one guy and all these things have happened to one guy.
Right.
But it's like these things, like, yeah, I happen, like, filmmakers do not like studio people coming to set.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
That was a disaster.
that. And I was showing Anne that episode,
Yeah.
and she was just like the whole time, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, right. It's so good. If you guys haven't started watching The Studio yet, get Apple TV. Listen, you need to have Apple TV. All right. If for no other
you
reason,
should.
then
For quality and price
shrinking
ratio.
and The Studio. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to watch it. It's so good.
Did you
Yeah,
notice?
especially if you're here watching movie news and stuff, and you're into that stuff, the studio you have to watch.
You
this
got to have
shit.
Apple TV Plus.
Did
man.
you notice when they're at the party, that scene, that Ben Stiller just walks right behind them casually?
I did not.
They were talking, and Ben Stiller just kind of scoots by them and goes to talk to somebody.
I didn't notice. Now I
There's
gotta
like a
go
lot of
check that
Apple
out.
references in there, Apple TV. Yeah.
Is Marty Scorsese crying? That was so good. That was so good.
What'd you do to him? She's like,
All right, what's next?
Ian, no, we saw Ian. Kneecap says, okay, John, I'll check out Severance for crying out loud. Wait, this show is actually fire. I haven't seen Patricia Arquette since the show Medium. I forgot about Medium.
I never did watch Medium,
I never did either, but I remember she was in it.
but she's great as Miss Cobell.
Mock.
She's got such an intensity to her.
yeah, she
She's
looks
so
very
good.
unhappy the whole time.
Yeah, Severance is a winner. Severance is an absolute, like, they may botch the landing on this. They like, all I ever think about is Lost, where it's real. It's not easy, but it is not the hardest thing in the world to set up a great premise. It's bringing it home
Yeah.
that becomes the real hard part. And like another great example of that is like The Acolyte. The premise is great, like a murder mystery involving Jedi. Okay, the premise is cool. I like that. Wait a minute. It was all just a big misunderstanding?
Which
I
we
mean-
kind of felt at already by episode 2.
Oh my God.
We should rewatch that.
No, I
today.
really don't have to rewatch The
We
Acolyte.
both said no at the
I
same time.
really don't. But I mean, so they're doing great with Severance, but now they're getting into the hard part, which is actually bringing it all together and what was it really all about and what's the answers to the mysteries. And that's where it gets hard. So, but hopefully they can
Wait.
pull it off.
Could we? or did they take it off Disney Plus?
No.
What?
Oh, it's just the merchandise that they took
Yeah,
off the
it's
shelves.
there. It's
What?
still
What's
there.
there?
The Acolyte.
Oh yeah, it's still on
Yeah,
there.
okay,
Yeah,
for sure.
But I mean, they have taken like Willow.
Yeah, that's
They
still
just
on.
pulled Willow right off. Like that was a disaster. That show. Anyway, all right. What's next?
Lily says, "Hi, John and crew. I'm shocked Tom Holland isn't in Doomsday, but I think this makes it more likely Spider-Man 4 will be a street level and end in a way that ties to Secret Wars, similar to what Ant-Man 2 was to Infinity War Endgame."
I mean, that's definitely possible. Again, let me reiterate what I already said 4 or 5 times. Just because Tom Holland wasn't announced being in the cast doesn't mean he won't be in the cast, right? Like we could get another round of announcements announcing more characters. But I also just want to caution everybody that it's actually very possible that Tom Holland is not in it because Doctor Strange is one of the biggest, most important characters in the MCU. And we've already gotten confirmation from Benedict that he will not be in Doomsday, but he will be in Secret Wars, much like an OG Avenger Hawkeye was not in Infinity War, but he was in Endgame. While it is definitely possible a lot of the names on my surprise list will still end up being in Doomsday, don't assume anything because a lot of these characters may actually not be in Doomsday and may not show up until Secret Wars. Because we already know, because if they're doing that to Doctor Strange, there could be a lot of other characters as well. Maybe Spider-Man is one of them. Maybe he's not. So it is still possible that Tom Holland gets announced being in the cast, but he could be like Doctor Strange and not show up until Secret Wars. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
All right, two-parter from Mark Choi, $25 tip.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that support, man.
I also have captions on for shows. I wonder if they can time it with the rhythm of the actual dialogue instead of just displaying the entire sentence, often 2 sentences. I read the captions long before they say the lines and feel micro-spoiled. It's like I can see the future, but only 5 seconds ahead.
I hate that too.
When watching the studio, it was worse because timing is everything in comedy, and I'd read the punchlines even before they finished setting it up. No more captions for comedies. The studio is so awesome.
Okay, I remember
Yeah.
I have had the same thought before where it's like the dialogue comes up because like sometimes with a lot of streaming shows, sometimes the audio levels aren't perfect and I really want to make sure I catch every word. So sometimes with streaming shows, I'll put on captions.
I do it for Severance because they whisper a lot.
Yes. And some of the characters mumble a bit too, but not Mr. Milicic though.
No, you understand him clearly.
I'd rather have it come on later than earlier. That's the problem.
But
I'd rather have it a
then-
little bit later, just because maybe you could hear the
Nah,
punchline.
But then you're
just
behind.
the punchline is just every time they steal the punchline, it sucks.
But
The
once
problem
in
is
a
if it's
while it
later,
happens.
you're
Like, listen, even
behind.
when I have captions on, 80% of the time I'm not reading them. I just find myself, my eyes will then dart down if I wasn't totally sure about what they just said,
That's
right?
what I do too.
But sometimes I have had the punchline of a joke ruined a split second early, right? But what's the alternative? I don't want TikTok, boom, boom, boom. Each word that gets said pops up as it's being said.
yeah.
That would be hyper distracting. I don't think I like the idea of having it come on after they already say it.
Well, maybe there should be an option like there is like an audio delay option on all of our little entertainment systems where you could either put plus 0.5, minus 0. Whatever to have it where you like it. Because I was watching Mythic Quest last night with the subtitles on, and I'm so happy that this viewer actually mentioned that because that was starting to piss me off last night.
I think on DVDs, because it's baked in, it's a lot closer to what you're reading. But because you're going through the app itself, that's then translating for the show, you're not getting a different version of the show with closed captioning so that it's edited in perfectly. The app is trying to keep up with the show.
Yeah. So it is one of the drawbacks. Absolutely. I've never found it ruined a show for me though, or anything like that. But it is something. It would be interesting if they could find a way to correct it.
Yes.
Somebody will come up with
Someone
something.
says subtitle sensitivity. That would be cool.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
We got Eric. Imagine if Marvel pulled another Ralph Boner joke in Avengers Doomsday the way they did with Evan Peters in WandaVision. James Marsden shows up and everyone gets excited except expecting Cyclops just for him to go, "It is I, Nathaniel Pube."
But
Actually pretty good.
But listen, Chris brought this up yesterday, and I think she's onto something here. Just because they said James Marsden doesn't mean he's Cyclops. Remember, these are multiversal movies. It could be a Scott Summers character from another world where Scott Summers was never born with the X gene and isn't Cyclops, right? So you joke, but it is important to note that in Chair Watch, as they were going by the chairs, it just said Florence Pugh. It didn't say Florence Pugh, Yelena, right? I'm not saying that's what they are doing. I'm just saying, be ready that some of the names may not be the characters we associate them with. Just saying. All right. What's next?
What's next says, I'm sick of the claim that Snow White is failing due to Zegler. People pre-ordered their hate for The Little Mermaid for having a black actress, and the same for Snow White having a Latina actress. Her comments, however, gave people a scapegoat to mask their racism.
Yeah, listen, movies succeed and movies fail all the time. Like a movie like Snow White. Listen, I have always questioned its ability to, like weeks before the movie came out, I said, yeah, they're projecting 50 to 60. I don't think it's going to make that. But anyway, so whenever a movie then fails, people try to then say, oh, it's because of the reason I thought it failed. Well, but then again, they gave the same reasons. The same things came up. Remember when they said Barbie was going to bomb?
Right. And
they said Barbie was going to bomb. And then when it had a big first weekend, some of the big talking heads came out and said, oh, it's going to be one of the biggest drop-offs in box office. Okay, it had a big opening weekend, but it's going to drop off like crazy because of these, people who are just pushing their agenda. It's going to, what happened? Oh, I don't know. It just went on to become the #1 box office film of the year. So everybody stays real quiet. But like some movies will succeed and some movies will fail. And everybody always tries to jump and say, I know the reason it succeeded. Movies that succeed usually succeed for 1,000 different reasons that all add up. And when a movie fails, I go, this is the reason it failed. So you're saying that if it wasn't for that one thing, this movie would have been $1 billion film? It wouldn't have been in any universe. It's usually a big 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to think they're smarter than they are. Everybody thinks they're smarter than they are.
Oh, no, I'm kind of dumb.
but the reality is, when these films succeed, it's never because of one thing. And when these things fail, it's never because of one thing. It's just a truism in the business. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Gregor says, hey, John, excited for Doomsday, but if Thunderbolts are in it, does that mean survivors are variants? Knowing they return lower stakes, survival, multiverse, resurrections, undercut sacrifices. Marvel's hyping Doomsday, but shortchanging Thunderbolts.
No one's shortchanging Thunderbolts.
Yeah. That's like saying
Thunderbolts comes out before Doomsday. So Thunderbolts is going to stand on its own 2 feet.
Exactly.
But listen, that's been one of my many criticisms of multiverse at all. Multiverse in your stories removes any consequences and removes any stakes. Because nothing that is done can't be undone, and nothing that happens will ever be permanent. Oh no, this person died. No problem. We got 55 other versions of them. Just insert them here. They've done that before. I mean, they did that with Gamora. Oh no, Gamora died. Oh, how sad. Oh, no problem. Just blink and she'll be back. She's back. But John, that's technically not the same way. It's Gamora. She's back. Keep your semantics to yourself. She's back. And that's always been one of my big criticisms of all stories that involve multiverse. It's not that multiverse, that's why another reason I don't like time travel movies. But there are some time travel movies that I love. Star Trek 4, Back to the Future. Time travel can be great. Multiverse can be great. But one of the big downsides of multiverse is that nothing has real consequences. And hopefully this is true. Like people in Marvel said, this will be the true end to the multiverse saga. Please let this be the end of the multiverse saga. I'm sure this thing can still be great. I have no doubt that Doomsday, Secret Wars can be awesome, but then let's please move on from this stupid multiverse nonsense.
They better have a list of who they want to unalive before they close this multiverse off. Because they have no more reason to be coming back after.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, when checking the runtime of a movie on the AMC website or app, there's a blue question mark. If you click on it, the message appears stating allow approximately extra minutes for pre-show and trailers before the show starts. Small victory.
No,
I don't know how long that's been there.
it's been there for a while. It's that's been there for a while. But
we already
if
know
you,
that.
as the consumer, have to dig around and find something that says, and by the way,
It's not always.
and that 20 minutes is a lie. It's always more than that, or it's always less than that to trick you and to make you miss a part of the movie. So, no.
That just states what we already kind of
And
assume.
the very fact that you have to, as the consumer, have to dig around, you have to go clicking around to even find it saying that. Nah, man. Like I said, that I really hope that lawsuit that happened in India and they won starts having some ramifications here, because I think movie theaters need to be sued. I really do. I think, listen, a consumer is buying a product from you, and if they're buying a movie ticket for 7:00, you got to be showing a movie at 7:00.
Yeah. Well,
or reasonably close to that, not fucking 7:30.
I was going to say reasonably, because, there's going to be different trailer lengths for different movies that they're doing, and it would be really hard to track that if you're going to be like, that was within seconds, you're wrong. It's like, there's got to be like a 4-minute variance there.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Like, listen, or I'm even for this. I'm like, I've always said, look, you want to show a half hour of trailers, fine. But I believe you need to tell the audience when the movie starts.
Mm-hmm.
You can say showtime is at 7:00. Film begins at 7:28. I believe, forget the movie business. I believe as a business and consumer relationship, there are laws in place to protect consumers and their rights. And I 1000% believe that if you're not just going to advertise the actual start time of the movie, then you should at least advertise when the showtime starts, 7, then show as many fucking trailers and commercials as you want, as long as you also say film begins at this time.
Mm-hmm.
If people are paying 20 fucking bucks to go see a movie, they should fucking know when the movie starts.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
It's because of that I'm even late to the movies I watch on TV now. Because
I'm late to the movies I watch.
it's like 20 minutes later, I'm like, what? It's already started.
All right, what's next?
and you're streaming. Lauren says, honestly, if Disney had hired Ben Stein to announce the Doomsday cast as his high school economics teacher from Ferris Bueller, that would have been more entertaining than Empty Chairs.
Hemsworth.
Yeah, I was going to say
Hemsworth.
Hiddleston.
Again, I seriously, I really can't get over how bad that was. That was so bad.
That's the only time where I said if they played commercials in between the chairs, I would wanted that.
in between the chairs.
This is where you need ads. You know what I mean?
That's where ads maybe would have come. 12 minutes of ads. Listen, I remember I even tuned in for a bit to the guys over at Screen Crush, and even the guys at Screen Crush are like, "What are we doing? Like, this is so dumb."
It came off to me as cynical. And people can disagree, and that's fine. Maybe some people loved it, but to me, it just felt cynical. It felt like the least amount of effort you could do.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
Brian O'Connor, and I'm one of 3. I never understood why the Batman didn't genuinely face the same criticism or pushback from the studio as the earlier DC films. BVS was too dark and scary, yet Reeves has a head exploding right out of a Saw movie. Batfleck got flack for killing hired henchmen, but when Pattinson kills innocent civilians while chasing the Penguin, not a peep. We didn't see any civilians die.
We didn't see any civilians.
There was
I mean,
accidents.
they could have died, but yeah.
And that was the Penguin doing it. People argued that Arthur Fleck would inspire and mobilize incels, yet the Riddler actually does it with his followers. I know critics won't ever admit it, but they absolutely move the goalposts when they feel like it. And by the way, Batman is my favorite DC film, so I'm not being biased at all for the older stuff.
Okay, you are completely misunderstanding 2 completely different sets of context.
Is this coming?
The DCEU was meant to be for their entire cinematic universe, right? Which is also meant to appeal to younger audiences as well. Matt Reeves' The Batman was set as something outside of that, as a very adult, borderline R-rated take on Batman. Those are 2 totally different things, right? And by the way, can we please stop with The critics said, no, they fucking didn't. You heard 1 or 2 out of 500 say something. You don't then say, the critics say, no, they don't. You found a couple of people out of hundreds who said things say, well, I heard this one critic. Can we please stop with this? The critics thought, no, half the critics didn't think that. Can we please stop with that language? The critics, no, they didn't. Or I hate it when say the fans want, no. You want, and maybe some of your buddies, but you do not represent all the fans. I really hate that.
He didn't mention the Joker in Nolan's Batman either, which was super violent and scary.
Yeah, super violent and scary and all that kind of stuff. Look, all I'm saying is that you have to understand that the Batman and everything that was supposed to be a part of this big shared cinematic universe, which was meant to be 4-quadrant. You know, we heard Ben Affleck talking about this yesterday.
Right, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, Ben was saying like you had a
referring to that?
filmmaker. Yeah, Ben said you had a filmmaker who wanted to take this way adult, but you had a studio that wanted to include family friendliness at the same time. And Ben said, like, I showed my movie to my son and he couldn't watch it because he thought it was too scary. And I said, oh shit, we have a problem. But Matt Reeves's Batman was completely outside of that. That's why they made it a totally separate thing.
And it was marketed as such.
And that's why the first Joker movie is marketed as and set outside of that. It is meant to be a purely adult take outside of a shared cinematic universe. So they're not moving the goalposts. They just recognize these are two different sets of context.
Right.
And context is king. Context means everything. So no, I don't think there was any moving of the goalposts at all. And by the way, the majority of critics really love Joker, and the majority of critics like it's just got to be careful with our terminologies. That's all I'm saying. All right, what's next?
Yeah, one DC movie does not fit all.
Yeah.
Bry Guy says, I know physical media is dying. Do you think peak physical media days were more profitable than current day streaming? Streaming is dependent on subscribers, ads, but when streaming wasn't around, you had to own something or rent if you wanted to watch it.
Matt Damon was a guest on Hot Ones last year, and they talked about that. He basically gives a great answer to that. He basically laid it out that, yeah, it used to be that used to be a very profitable segment for studios, like selling VHS, DVDs, Blu-rays. He said it used to be, I mean, it was a drop in the bucket compared to the box office, but he said still it was a very substantial number of money it could generate for the movies and the projects and for the studios. But Matt Damon said that is just not the case anymore. Now it's not. They don't make as much money on streaming, and obviously they're not making any money on the physical anymore. And he said it's just not the same thing. The secondary market, the secondary window, as they would call it, used to be something that studios could count on for a certain percentage of revenue. He said, you just don't have that with streaming. Streaming just doesn't generate the revenue for the studios, the producers of the movie that say physical media used to, and physical media doesn't sell anything anymore, practically. So yeah, again, I would really encourage, instead of me trying to paraphrase what Matt Damon was saying, because I'm sure I'm doing a bad job of it, I look up Matt Damon on Hot Ones and go see when he talked about that, because it was really insightful and very, very interesting. All right, what's next?
All right, Mark Choi with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Mark.
John, I sincerely apologize in advance if this topic hits a sore spot. It won't. I've already read it and has already been addressed. May I go over to adjust your light so it will not reflect on the monitor behind you, covering Ray's work, making you look so good. Here's the problem: we're in a confined space.
Yeah, we're in a very tight, confined,
and we have a
small space.
Reflective material behind John. So anyway, we shift it to get the reflection out. Then John is not lit.
Yeah, I mean that is one of the things. By the way, I make the thumbnail.
Yeah. John's.
But I mean, the reality is, believe me, I don't. We're okay right there. I don't like that glare of the light
nor do
being
I,
on the screen, but I either have to completely turn the TV way too much,
and we can't angle it because we're confined space. You hit your desk,
and I can't raise the light anymore because I've tried that. If we raise the light too much more,
get a lot of shadow.
Get this deep shadow hanging down my nose and my face and everything like that. So Listen, this is one of the drawbacks of being in a smaller, more confined space. I mean, we have a lot of advantages being in a smaller space, but one of the drawbacks is we can't angle all the lights just the way we want to, unfortunately.
Yeah, and someone mentioned flags, but then the problem is that you're still going to catch it.
Yep. Flags will not stop that reflection. Flags wouldn't stop the reflection at all. Yeah, we're just in too small of a space. All right, what's next?
Yeah, Mark Choi.
No, it's
just playing.
It's decent, though.
Well, it is. Listen, it also drives me a little bit crazy. Every time I got to see that, there it is, that glare of the light, that drives me crazy too. It really does.
Just imagine that's always part of our artwork.
Yeah. But the important thing is, I think like the lighting on the subject, I'm the subject in this case, I think the lighting's actually really good.
Yeah.
Just the unfortunate drawback means we got to get that little bit of glare there.
And another important thing is me and Mark Choi love Dogman.
There you go. So there you go.
That's really all that matters.
That's all
is Dogman.
Multiversal runtime says over under 50% that Doomsday and Secret Wars will have a runtime longer than the chair announcement live stream. For reference, the live stream is 5 hours and 27 minutes, so that means that Doomsday will have to be over 2.5 hours and Secret Wars will have to be 3.
Listen,
it won't be
now
far off.
They don't know for sure, but the Russo brothers already kind of addressed that. They already said that their guess, and again, they won't know until they shoot the film, but they said their guess is right around there, that Doomsday will clock in at around 2.5 hours, and that Secret Wars will clock in at about 3. Again, they can't know for sure until they shoot it and start editing and all that kind of stuff, but that's where they're guessing it's going to end up. So maybe that was the plan. They wanted the announcement to be the combined length of the two movies. God, that was such a bad idea. That whole thing was
They're going to announce
bad.
Everything like that from now on.
Yeah, from now on, everything. Ray was even saying, you know what they should have done too? Had all the crew, like the 150 members are going to be behind the crew every 12 minutes. Second gaffer boy, 12 minutes. It'd be like a 24-hour stream for a month. All right, what's next?
Breakout effect. Do you think if Joseph Quinn wasn't cast in Stranger Things, would he still land roles in A Quiet Place, Gladiator, or Fantastic Four? I feel like breakout roles like Quinn in Stranger Things boost an actor's chances. And I don't think he'd get those roles without Stranger Things.
Let's put it this way. I think there is a very good chance that Joseph Quinn still becomes a big, significant actor without Stranger Things. Just something else would have been his break.
Right.
But the sequence of events would have been altered.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I don't think we'd be seeing Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm if it wasn't for his breakout role in Stranger Things.
Right, but everybody
That's
needs
not to say he wouldn't have gotten another break at some point and still become big. But yeah, that was a huge breakout thing for him. And I think him getting those big roles, Gladiator, I think are direct linear results of Stranger Things.
But that's also how the business works.
Yep, 100%.
Most any business.
All right, what's next?
The absent Avengers. For those wondering why Holland, Renner, and Pratt were omitted from the chair cast vid, they're all filming. Holland's on the Odyssey, Pratt's doing the Terminal List season 2, 6 months per Collider, and Renner's filming Mayor of Kingstown season 4, which I have yet to start, and sharing updates on IG.
What does that have to do with their names not being on a chair?
Yeah, they could still appear in those films. There would still be time to shoot.
Listen. A lot of people think when somebody, we were just talking about the Simon Pegg movie.
Angels in the Silence.
Angels in the Outfield.
That's 29 days shooting. The whole movie, 29 days shoot. They only got 15 into it, but the whole movie was a 29-day scheduled shoot.
Yeah.
A lot of people think when an actor is starring in a movie, they're on set for like 7 months. Normally, it's like 6 weeks. So, and listen, there have been many examples of actors who have worked at 2 projects simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
They would literally be on one set for a couple of days, get on a plane, fly to another set for a day or so, fly back. I mean, it's not common, but it's not uncommon either. So yeah, I can guarantee you the reason their names weren't on chairs had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that.
And I totally believe this is the final list. This has to be it.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced.
I actually think if they actually went through the time of doing that and like, why would they do that again? Like,
No,
I don't know why they did it the first time, but they could absolutely do it again.
But if they had a whole set, why didn't they just do all of them with faster?
Because they wanted to stretch out the marketing buzz of it or something like that. Again, I'm not saying there will be, but I don't think there's any reason to believe that there won't be.
I just realized what it was.
What it was.
They never intended to stretch it 12 minutes per, but Robert Downey Jr. was late and they had to stall. And they're like, if this is his arrival time and we delay it by 12 minutes each, he'll get here just in time.
Yeah. He's running late. How late? 5 hours.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well,
we had to start, so just stretch it out.
He just boarded at LAX on his way to Georgia.
All right. What's next?
CJ says, read a lot of comments for the Marvel Doomsday cast reveal, and they were overwhelmingly positive. Just because a lot of people liked it doesn't mean you're right. It was a no for me, dog.
Well, look, at the end of the day,
that's an opinion. If they loved it, cool.
Yeah, but I guarantee this 100%. They would have liked it more if it was something else. Like literally, here's the thing.
Yeah.
They were revealing the cast of Doomsday. So no matter what they did,
that's exciting.
A lot of people would be watching it.
Yes.
No matter what they did. They literally could have had a big German shepherd walk onto screen, crouch, take a big shit, and then the camera goes into that shit, and Florence Pugh's name is on the shit, and people would have still watched. What we liked was the names being announced.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to bring our attention back to this. I put up a poll saying, hey, would you guys have rather that? Or just Kevin Feige coming out in 1 hour and just naming off the names? 86% said just have Kevin Feige standing there saying the names. So we liked getting the names announced. But the way in which they did it was the worst possible. Like, seriously, if we had sat down, it's like, how can we totally do this the worst way possible? I know. A 5.5 hour stream with just a name on the screen. Yeah. Wait for it. Every 12 minutes.
And no music, only for the moment when it moved.
I mean, it's just one of the dumbest things they've ever done.
But it's also an announcement of them starting production, right? That was mainly the reason why it was.
Yes, but you didn't need to do a 5.5 hour stream to say, oh, by the way, we've started production. But you just say we've started production.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yes. It could have been just them saying we start production. So.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
Now we got everyone saying Florence Pugh. Oh, God. See what you've done?
That's my fault. I'm sorry. I take it back.
Wow. All right. CJ from New York says, any chance Marvel's keeping some cast member reveals close to the chest for Doomsday? For example, Spider-Man, Wanda, Doctor Strange. It's not like they haven't lied to us before in trailers or in the naming of Endgame.
Two things. Number one of the really frustrating things that we as people do, it's not just movie fans, but often movie fans. Like if something happens 1% of the time, everybody just assumes that's always. Guys, less than 1% of the time when an actor says they're not in something, do they actually then actually show up in it. That's like 1%. 99% of the time, like, listen, I've been doing this job for a long time. Long time. It's weird to think, but I've actually been doing this job longer than some of our viewers have even been alive. And I can tell you from experience that 99% of the time, when an actor says they're not in something, they're not in it. Yes, Andrew Garfield said he wasn't going to be in Spider-Man, and he was. Yes, if I want to go back a ways, Bradley Cooper said he wasn't going to be in the new A-Team movie, and he was. That happens every lunar moon, I guess. But 99% of the time, as somebody who's been doing this for over 20 years, when an actor says they're not into something, they're not in a movie, turns out they don't end up being in that movie. Now, again, that's not to say we shouldn't keep in mind that it does happen once in a while. But the fact is now, like, when it's only 1% of the time, it's kind of frustrating when then as soon as an actor says they're not in something, everybody goes, well, then I'm sure they're in it because actors always say they're not in something and they really are. No,
people love conspiracy.
Yeah, they're not. most of the time, 99% of the time, they're not. Okay, so that's being said.
And then when they're not, the people are like, "This movie sucked" because they weren't in it. It's like
they weren't, but they said they weren't in it. Now, bring up the question again, because to the first part of the question,
let's see,
where they ask, do I still think it's possible that some of these guys,
I gotta find it,
like Spider-Man, is any chance that Marvel is keeping some cast members? Absolutely. 100%. Ray says no.
This is final, baby.
No, 100%. 100% there is, right?
Yeah.
Like, I won't be shocked at all that we get another list or whatever. All I'm trying to caution people is, even if we get another list, don't think that everybody who wasn't listed the first time around is going to suddenly pop up in the other list. Benedict Cumberbatch came out months ago and said, I am not in Doomsday, but I am in Secret Wars, and I have a significant role to play in Secret Wars. There's no reason not to believe him.
Mm-hmm.
Zero reason not to believe him. Right? So if they're doing that with Doctor Strange, such a big heavy hitter such as Doctor Strange, you bet your ass it's possible that Spider-Man isn't going to be in Doomsday, and they're saving him for something with whatever their story is, for Secret Wars instead. I think a lot of the names on my top 30 most surprised absent list, I think a lot of those names will definitely be in Secret Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them might even be in Doomsday, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll wait and see. All right, what's next?
Forbidden says Doomsday doesn't seem like the proper Avengers to me. Core members just come off similar to Guardians in terms of scale next to Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Thunderbolts. I get that everyone is an Avenger. Problem is, I don't see those other teams taking orders from Sam.
We don't know the story yet.
Yeah.
Let's just wait and see. Well, like, it could be like once they start to unfold everything. And by the way, by the time, like, when Doomsday starts, we may not have an Avengers team, right? We may not get a true Avengers team until we may not get a collection of characters and somebody then proclaiming, we are the Avengers. That may not happen until Secret Wars. So, we'll have to wait.
I actually think that this whole movie is just going to really be focused, obviously, on Doom, right? And they have those little samples from every group just to show the scope that whatever he's trying to do is affecting people. Is affecting certain parts like X-Men, because this is his rise to power that leads into Secret Wars, right?
We don't know.
Well, that's what I'm just thinking.
Right,
It's
like a lot of movies,
because if he's going to be the big baddie,
but most of the time the big baddie isn't the main focus of the movie, right? Even Thanos was never the main focus of the movie. So, but this is Robert Downey Jr., so maybe they do. I want to hesitate making any assumptions at this point, because is that possible? Absolutely, it's possible. I'm trying not to assume anything at this point right now, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
C. Fletch says, hey, John, the old man is how Universal should have brought back Bourne. What happens when Bourne is older and his past comes back to haunt him? Just like the old man, that way we still keep Matt Damon in the role. It's like an old man Bourne.
But then it's not the Bourne, it's not Bourne anymore. Now it's the old man. Now it's just a ripoff of the old man. So, and Matt Damon ain't that old. Let's remember that. He ain't as old. Matt Damon is not Jeff Bridges, right? By the way, I am super late to the old man party. That show is great. I'm only about halfway through season 1 right now, but I am absolutely loving it. It's fantastic.
It's on my list.
All right, what's next?
The ever-growing list of shows. Leo says, in reference to the Potvin line in episode 5 of Daredevil, I'm pretty sure he's referring to Felix Potvin, one of the bigger names of the era of the great goalies during the 90s, who just happened to play one season for the Islanders.
No. If you're making a reference to a great Islander, you are not talking about Felix Potvin. You're talking about the defenseman of the 4-time Stanley Cup winning run. So if that's a reference to an older Islander player, that's the one you're referencing. So I'm very serious about my 1979, 1980, 1981, and 1982 New York Islanders. I'm very, very serious about that team. All right, what's next?
AL says, what are some good scenes from bad movies that you can think of? For me, some that come to mind are Nemesis Prime versus Bumblebee in Transformers 5, Justin Hammer Dance in Iron Man 2, The Duel of Fates in Phantom Menace.
Yeah, there are a couple like if I wanted to go to the Star Wars prequels, all hot garbage, by the way. But there's a lot of scenes in those that I really do like. Like anytime Yoda has a lightsaber fight, awesome. Pod racing scene, awesome. The ultimate duel of the fates scene between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, awesome.
I really liked in the second one of the prequels when all the Jedi show up. That's when what's his name?
Yeah.
Because we had never up to that point. I was like, we've never seen so many Jedi at one time.
When Mace Windu cuts off the head of Jango Fett and stuff, like, that's a good scene. More modern, Snow White. I love the first 10 minutes of that movie. I think the first 10 minutes are great. I ended up not liking the movie overall.
I got one.
The dwarves scene and the hi-ho singing song scene in really good.
Every Sub-Zero scene in the first Mortal Kombat, the most recent Mortal Kombat.
I wouldn't say everyone.
Every Sub-Zero
but particularly
scene.
the fight between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, that was awesome. So I find, for those of you who watch me for any period of time, I really do try when I watch a movie I don't like, and I need to talk about it, I like to make sure I point out good things in it. And when there's a movie I don't like, I like to point out bad things in it too. Like I try to keep a pretty balanced approach, but yeah, there's a lot of bad movies that I think have good scenes. Even Craven, which was awful beyond description. Its helicopter scene stuff, as he's chasing through the city, that was a really good scene. And that's like, I think the worst movie of the year, but even that had a really good scene.
I can't wait for that to hit streaming. I can't wait.
It's already on streaming.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah.
I get to watch it.
Yeah. You get to watch it. Congratulations.
Yes.
All right. What's next?
Wonderful. Cade says, hey, John and crew, fan of the show for years. It might be a topic today already, but did you see the full trailer for One Battle After Another? It looks wild. It looks even comedic. Leo in a comedy, sold. Viva la revolution. That's the Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah.
I saw it. It looks like it's going to be really well acted. I don't really get what it's about.
I don't think it was a very good trailer. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was a little like, what?
I am not sitting here saying, I mean, it's Paul Thomas Anderson with Benicio del Toro and Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn's in it too.
I'm going to see it.
I'm not saying it's not going to be a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. I don't think it was a very good trailer.
It had a fun start, and then it just felt like the tone just kept shifting, and I was just like, "What?" And then we were back to him in his robe again at the. I don't know.
I'm just saying, it's one of those things where I think if it said directed by, who's not a popular director right now,
the Russo brothers,
J.J. Abrams.
yeah.
If it said directed by J.J. Abrams, I don't think as many people would be calling it such a great trailer. If it was the exact same trailer, but it just said directed by J.J. Abrams instead of Paul Thomas Anderson, I don't know that people would say listen, I'm just being honest with you. I think the movie will probably be very good, but I'm just calling it like I see it. I don't think the trailer was all that great. It didn't motivate me. Like, I'm already excited to see it because of who's involved in it. That trailer did not make me more excited to see it. Just saying, just being honest. All right. What's next?
Rob says, well, John, you got what you wanted. You wanted Victor Von Doom to kill a little girl to make the audience fear and hate the big bad instantly. The Fox universe is that little girl. And that, sir, is why Thor was crying.
I'm still telling you, have Doom kill I Love You 3000 girl. Have him kill her. Kill Tony's daughter.
Wow, while she's in college already, huh?
No, not even college.
Oh, you want to bring her back young? Like,
yeah,
okay.
Little girl.
Well, we'll just throw in 3 more babies after that.
I want her sitting in a cafeteria at a little grade school, eating her lunch and petting a little bunny. And then Doom shows up and rips her head off.
And you want them recording her right when she falls off like something off the playground, so it's authentic cries.
That's right. Look, all I'm saying is that if you want to immediately have the audience despise that character, I liken it unto, in John Wick, the original John Wick. Some of you have heard me make this comparison before, but I think it's completely astute. If you want the audience to really on board with the hero, knowing that your hero is about to do, like in the course of the movie, is going to do unspeakably violent, horrific, murderous things, but we want the audience to be completely on board with him as he's doing it. What do? Have the bad guy kill his puppy. That adorable, liquid goodness little puppy that the entire world fell in love with. Have the bad guy do something as unspeakable as kill the puppy, where you have little old ladies in the movie theater standing up, pointing their canes at the screen and saying, that fucker gotta die.
You know who I want?
If you want to have that with Dr. Doom, have him kill Tony's daughter.
I don't think they want
That's
that.
why I'm going to hate Galactus. Like, already. I hate Galactus already because, you know, the minute he steps foot in that city, how many dogs just died? I'm going to be so pissed.
So mad. All right. What's next?
Like millions of dogs screaming out at once. Film
Cares
buff,
about the people.
Film buff Rich says, here's my CinemaCon prediction hope. We finally learned something, heck, anything about the Trey Parker, Matt Stone film with Kendrick Lamar coming this summer. I would settle for just the title, but a title would be nice.
Are they doing a movie?
I didn't even know they were doing a
Apparently
movie.
it's
That
really big
is
to Film Buff
weird,
Rich.
but I am excited.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what. If
that's
that
true.
movie is coming, 100% they'll give us footage of it at CinemaCon. 100%. If that movie is indeed coming. Again, that's one's gone right over my head. I haven't been paying attention. So I didn't even know that it was a thing that's coming. But if it is, and that's true, we 100% will get footage of it at CinemaCon. No doubt. All right. What's next?
Preston Walden says, I have to say the studio is now one of my favorite shows, and it's only 2 shows in.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Definitely drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
That show is so fucking good, man.
Can I just say,
It's so
I
good.
watched both episodes twice. One here and then one when I went home, just to rewatch it.
3.
I loved watching it. Ann's reaction to it was great as we were watching it.
A lot
It
of
was my
people-
second watch through.
A lot of people are talking about like the meta-ness of episode 2 and the fact that they were doing a oneer. The fact that they did a oneer and they timed it perfectly with the sun setting is what
Crazy.
people need to understand is so difficult.
And while they were talking about doing a oneer, doing a oneer,
Yeah, listen, like everybody was, my God, there's this 8-minute scene where it's all one continuous shot. The entire episode,
Dude, they
is
had
one continuous. It starts with a cameraman on the
Yeah.
hood of Seth Rogen's car and then getting off the car, and for the entire episode, one continuous shot, and the way it's coordinated and orchestrated.
and literally to the sun setting, because as they drive away, the sun sets.
Now, I wouldn't listen. I
that
won't
could
be
be
surprised.
faked, but
I won't be surprised if maybe the darkness in the sky
That could be
might have been
faked.
done in post a
That
little
could have
bit,
been faked.
but it was still all done in one shot.
Yeah.
It was crazy good. And how good was Sarah Polley in that?
oh yeah.
Oh my God, she was so good in that. Anyway, all right, what's good? What's next?
All right. Anonymous says, it makes no sense for WB to screen Minecraft at CinemaCon because it's already screened to exhibitors. Same with Sinners. The earliest release date film they have, which hasn't yet, would be Final Destination. Oof.
oh yeah, we might be even get that. Ugh,
No,
you're just making us worse.
I almost guarantee.
When was
it's-
it screened to
Who did-
exhibitors?
No, they listen. They have not screened. Maybe there were some small select groups. CinemaCon, you are literally getting 5,000 movie theater owners and managers and executives all coming into one place. There has not been some big screening for all of them, right? Like all movies that are coming out get screened for the exhibitors, but like certain departments for the exhibitors, stuff like that, and helping to determine how many screens. But you only get one time a year where you get all of them. And they absolutely, now again, can I guarantee that they're going to be showing either Sinners or the Minecraft? Of course not. But yeah, I think there's a decent chance. Anyway, we'll find out. We'll find out when we get there. All right, what's next?
Seconds from Disaster says, do you think Arsham will ever come back to Judge Earth before or during Secret Wars? Or do you think they will abandon that altogether? Oh, I feel like if they do an incursion, then that Arsham would no longer exist, so you'd get out of your judgment.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think.
He's coming back to judge them in 1,000 years.
I sadly don't think they're going to revisit that. I say that because I think Eternals is a good movie. It's a very different film from the rest of the MCU, absolutely, but I think it's a good movie. But I think they're pretty much going to be abandoning it. I don't think we're going to see Arshem again. I hope we do, but I don't think we will. All right, what's next?
Jerry says, or Gary, I'm not sure if it's a hard G or soft. Hi, crew. I was wondering if the duration of the event yesterday with the chairs changing every 12 minutes could be a hint of the duration of both Doomsday and Secret Wars combined. What do you think? By the way, I think they didn't finish announcing actors.
Well, again, like I said, they have no idea how long the two movies are going to be.
Hasn't been edited yet.
Yep. It hasn't been shot yet. And then they haven't figured out, oh, we need to take this out or put this in or do it so no, I don't think they timed it to be the exact length of those things. So they don't even know what the exact length of those two movies are going to be yet.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
The Tick. I've seen a fair share of people complaining along the lines of they've only announced 27 characters for Doomsday. They're missing like 20. These are also the same hypocrites saying these 15 characters is way too many for Superman.
It's not hypocritical to say I was expecting to say, look, it's different to say how many characters we think something should have versus how many we think it will have. So they might be surprised because they thought there were going to be 20 more names, but that's not hypocritical. But again, listen, whenever somebody says there's way too many characters in Superman, I just open up IMDb for almost any major film, and there's just as many, if not more, characters in all those films. The only difference is with Superman, you happen to recognize the name of the characters. But there's no more characters in the upcoming Superman movie than there are in 80% of big, wide release Hollywood films. It's just that you happen to know some of the names already. That's the only difference. There's not any more characters. There's not any more appearances. It's the same. But yeah, anyway. But I don't think it's hypocritical. All right, what's next?
D-Game says, Marvel just released a short new teaser for Thunderbolts featuring Sentry on X. I need this movie like I need Air. The way they've teased him without fully showing him is perfect. I predict he will be a top MCU antagonist.
Not if he's in Doomsday.
Let's watch.
I think, if anything, he's going to be a protagonist. I think he's definitely going to be a big antagonist because it's going to be the Void. As you know, Sentry has two sides to him. He has the Sentry side and he has the Void. And the Void is very, very, very bad news. And it's the Void we see smoking people, I think. And part of, I think, Thunderbolts is them discovering that Sentry and the Void and Bob are all one and the same.
Yeah, Bob.
But I am with you. I was very dismissive of Thunderbolts until they made the announcement of the cast. Once they made the announcement of the cast, I got right on board. And the trailers have just excited me. I think this movie is going to be awesome. I hope it is, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
We got Mike who says, given the names and presuming movie is good, over under 299.9 million opening for Avengers Doomsday.
It's impossible to say until we at least see a trailer. Because when you're predicting opening weekend, you're anticipating what the hype around the movie is, how excited people are for it, all that kind of stuff. And without even having a trailer drop yet. But listen, 300 million for an opening weekend. What did Endgame open with?
Endgame was
right around there.
350 something.
350 something, right around there.
And Infinity War was 250 something.
Yeah, I think going over 300 million on an opening weekend has only ever happened once, I think.
357 and 257. There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to go under. I mean, that's just, again, it's only happened once in history, I think. Yeah, it's only ever happened
had
once.
That culmination to those two Avengers films.
Yeah, so Secret Wars, maybe. I'll say no. I mean, again, I still think Doomsday can be a $2 billion film. But I don't know if it'll open over 300 million. Again, that's only happened once in history. So for now, but again, ask me once we get a little bit closer to the movie. Actually, when we've actually had a trailer, then I'll give you a different guess. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Bang Bang says, hey, crew, are you guys still doing a fan meetup at CinemaCon?
All right. It's funny you asked that because Ann and I were just talking about that last night. I would like to do a fan meetup at CinemaCon. But there are a couple of things. I don't know where to do one, and I don't know when to do one. And then with me, I've always, like, even back in AMC and the Collider days, our staff would always try to get me to do more fan meetups at different things. But I always hesitate because I'm like, what if we do a fan meetup and nobody shows up? That's always my biggest thing, right? And you know, it was really crazy. We did one at Comic-Con once. We did a fan meetup at Comic-Con, and we said, And I kept pushing back against it. I'm like, guys, what if we do one and nobody shows up and I don't think anybody's going to come and blah, blah, blah. So they finally convinced me to do one. And we had it in this restaurant. We said, well, we'll go and have dinner at this restaurant. So we get to the restaurant and there's a bunch of people in the restaurant just already having dinner and stuff like that. And then the manager asks, okay, who here is for the movie talk meetup? Everyone there was there for the movie talk meetup. There's like hundreds of people. I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, but I'm always in crippling fear of what if we do a fan meetup and nobody comes? But the bigger problem right now is I don't know where to do one and I don't know when to do one yet. So give me another day or two to see if I can figure something out. I would like to do even if only like 5-6 people show up, that's fine. It's going to be in Las Vegas. But give me a day or two to see if I can figure out the wheres and whens of it.
Do it in Baker.
Do it in Baker. All right, what's next?
Greg, could Avengers Doomsday be set outside of Earth 616 for most of the film?
Could be.
Yeah. If you say could, then it could, yes.
Yeah, no, 100%, especially if we're getting all these X-Men characters, because these X-Men characters are not going to be on Earth 616.
And Fantastic Four, we don't know when they cross over.
Yeah, we don't know. So, I mean, I'd say there's a good chance. At least, look, some of it will be on 616, but I think there's a good chance of a lot of it won't be.
And I'm thinking actually more likely now that Fantastic Four ends and they're still in their own universe.
Could be. I still think they'll transfer out by the end, but it's possible that could be they do it. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, hi, John, thank you for helping me recover from an accident in Moreno Valley that happened to me 3 years ago.
Oh, no.
The one thing that pops up from my mind is that Tom Holland will fight RDJ and lose, so they have a live action of Miles Morales for live action version.
As long as Sony is making those Miles Morales films, you're not going to see a live action
I really don't think you're getting much Sony other than Spider-Man for these movies.
Yeah. Now, at some point, they could change the deal and all that kind of stuff. But as of now, and remember, the Marvel executive in charge of the Disney Plus shows and animation laid out what the guidelines pretty much are. And so as long as Sony is still making those Spider-Verse movies, you're not going to see a live action Miles. All right, what's next?
BMC says, does this mean the OG X-Men crew will be the X-Men for the MCU? Or do you think Secret Wars will reboot the team?
Secret Wars will definitely reboot the team. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And also, by the way, just because it's Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart and James Marsden doesn't mean it's the X-Men we already knew. It could be another universe's version of the X-Men. Right? I mean, so we just don't know. But yes, by the time we get past Secret Wars, it isn't still going to be Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, James Marsden. It's not going to be them after Secret Wars. It's going to be something different. All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous, I think it's a two-parter. Just to clarify, Benedict Cumberbatch is in both Avengers films the day after the article came out saying he is in Doomsday. Another one came out and Benedict said he was wrong. I work in the film department of a major exhibitor and literally nobody was talking about this. Also, Benedict Cumberbatch clarified at Sundance that he was wrong and he is in Doomsday. There's a Business Insider article about it from January.
I doubt the veracity. I'm doubting the veracity of that because that would have been major, because him saying he wasn't in Doomsday was major headlines in all the trades. That was not. If he came out and like double back on, because in his initial interview, he was very clear. Like it wasn't like some little comment taken out of context. Now, I'm not sitting here claiming to have absolute knowledge. I'm definitely not. I'm just saying the way I perceived it wasn't some little comment taking out of context. Benedict Cumberbatch was very direct and very straight in saying, I am not in Doomsday, but I will play a significant role in the following thing. I saw nothing else come out about that. And if it's all coming from some little thing in the Business Insider, I'm going to doubt they interpreted him right. Again, I'm not claiming absolute knowledge in this. I'll have to go back and look into this myself. But the only thing I saw...
so weird that no one else ran with it because...
Yeah, if it was truly and real, you would have seen The Hollywood Reporter write that. You would have seen Variety write about it. You would have seen Deadline write about it. Again, not claiming absolute knowledge in this. I don't know. I'll have to go and look into it myself. But if it's only like some one outlet that's not even an entertainment outlet is saying that, I have to wonder if they got it right or not. Again, not claiming any absolute knowledge. I'll have to look into myself, but I'm just saying right now, it sounds doubtful to me. Anyway, what's next?
Dr. Stinky, hey, I hope all is well. Which characters would you like to see interact Avengers Doomsday and or Avengers Secret Wars that haven't before? I'm going to go really out there and say Deadpool and She-Hulk anyway. All love, bring on the filth.
It would be great to see Deadpool and She-Hulk just because they're both fourth wall breakers. And you
Yeah.
can get really meta with that. I don't expect to see Deadpool in either of them, to be honest with you. I've said that forever. Again, I don't know that as a fact. I'm just saying as a fan, my guess is I don't think we're going to see Deadpool in there at all. I don't really have any of those. Like that's to me just novelty. Oh, I want to see this character talking to this character. I don't really care. I just want to see a really good movie.
But it really paid off when we were like, hey, Iron Man and Chris Pratt, or like Chris Pratt and Iron Man and Star-Lord, their interaction in Infinity War,
Yeah.
that was what I
Oh, it was
thought it
great.
would. Everything I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I would say Red Guardian and Drax would be a funny
Well,
one.
we're
for
never
me.
going to see Drax.
Yeah, I know, but that
We're
would
never
be
gonna
funny
see Drax
for me.
again. I mean, look, any two characters together can be great if it's written well.
Right.
If it's written well, it can be great. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
All right, that was the last of our tips.
All right, well, it's already 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our show today. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come back and join us again tomorrow, our final show before heading up to Las Vegas for CinemaCon week. We're going to be doing our show from, we're going to be putting out a lot of content from CinemaCon. You guys are going to want to follow us very closely next week. Nobody covers CinemaCon as well as we do. And I think we've been doing it great for many years. And this is my favorite time of year as a movie fan. Anyway, I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.